Hello, and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. If you have ever felt like you were lacking in the oral pleasure department, I'm speaking mostly to women, but sure, guys too, whatever you want. And you want to somehow know the male anatomy better to become a more refined oral pleasurer, then look no further than the book, How to Get Ahead. It sounds like it's a book that teaches you how to succeed in business, but it's really about blowjob business. And Dr. Suelyn Hall is the authoress. She joins me now. Dr. Hall, welcome to Kennedy Saves the World.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to visit with you about this lovely book.
This lovely book, an incredibly important topic. And you are a female urologist. And the first thing that came to my mind was, wow, she really loves penises.
Well, in my experience for 20 years as a board-certified urologist, what I can tell you is that my patients always say that sexual health is very important to them. And it really, sexual health leads to mental and physical well-being. So this is actually a very important thing to learn about.
It is, absolutely. And you take us through an incredible journey, not only the physiology of the male anatomy, but also the evolutionary biology and the cultural history of the penis, starting back in ancient Egypt. And for those of us who have studied ancient Greek philosophy, who read the real text, you know that they were really obsessed with that marital act, and they called it playing the flute.
Correct. And actually they wore togas so it was easier access. And actually what we
realize that was the advent of the toga was to be able to access the key component of your studies. Yeah.
Key components. And and in these countries they had less shame associated with the male anatomy. And it was really, I tried to bring the science-based, with a touch of boldness in this book, because I think we've created shame with some very natural things. And I wanted to blend more anatomy, hormones, and then real talk about intimacy.
Mm-hmm. And how important it is to get to know your partner and really understand what a sexual partnership is about. Now, I was reading an article just last week about an American woman who went to Australia, and she complained that Australian men didn't want to go down on her. And she had other people online going, no, that's not really a problem here. Guys here love doing the act. But there was one statistic in the article that I found quite shocking, and it was something like 93% of women are willing and happy to perform oral sex on their male partner, but it's only in the low 80s for men reciprocating. It almost feels like that's a bigger issue. Why did you choose blowjobs on the men versus what might need an even more precise instruction manual, which is female oral pleasure?
Actually, there are a lot of books written about women, and so that's one of the reasons why I thought I should write one about men, because a lot of people don't realize that learning the anatomy, learning where the nerves go is very important, but then also learning the illnesses that can be discovered, because men really don't complain about pain. Or they don't complain at all unless they really have pain, but for women, we're a little bit more open to discuss this. As women, though, there's a large percentage of sexual dysfunction in women. In the Clinical Journal of Endocrinology, they even discuss this in detail. And so some people are afraid to expose their weaknesses. But I think that women, I'm surprised at that statistic of 80% not liking that. But hygiene is another component, as you read in my book.
No, women like it. The article was pointing out that they don't receive it as much as they give it.
I see. And that is in Australia, not in the U.S., correct?
No, that was in the U.S.
In the U.S., wow.
Shocking.
I do know. Yeah. Shocking. Yes, that is very shocking. I actually think that regular pleasure really does reduce stress and really reduces cortisol therefore mitigating the harmful effects of stress on our heart, immune system. So I think it should be mutual. It should not just be one-sided, actually, but educating about the male anatomy. I thought, as a female urologist, I've been exposed to people in their most vulnerable states, and wanting to
You talk about repairing broken penises, and, that sometimes requires surgery.
Yes, yes. And that's more common than people realize. And it leads to like Peyronie's disease, which people hear about on TV now because there are medications for it, but they don't even realize what the original cause was for that. Let's say a fractured penis or plaques being developed. So cardiovascular disease, the vessels in the penis are the smallest vessels in the body. They're smaller than the heart. So when they get clogged and men have ED or libido, it may be the first sign of heart disease. And so learning a lot about this factor can actually help save lives probably as well.
I could be a urologist. So how did you decide your area of specialty when you were in medical school? So as a woman, I've never had a male gynecologist. When I was giving birth to both of my daughters, I put in my birth plan, I do not want a male obstetrician delivering my children. I was very adamant about that because I wanted whoever was delivering my children to know what I was feeling. How does a woman settle on urology as an area of study?
Actually, when I was in medical school, my preceptor was the head of urology, and he actually exposed me to this field. So I could appreciate that it's such a great integration of medical care as well as surgical precision. And then I went to my dean, who I asked, I really like this field. I really enjoy general surgery. I would like to become a urologist. And he said, it was a really male-centric field. Actually, he said, you're a black female, maybe you should go into something else. But that just triggered my desire for it even more. And I found a female urologist. At that time, there was only one of 50 versus 10,000 men. And she's like, follow your dream. Don't listen to this guy. And that's actually how I started my journey into the field of urology. However, I really enjoyed the surgical aspect as well as the medical aspect involved in this field. Mm-hmm. Very few women, and if correct. But I think yes. Go ahead.
If you're going to see and feel that many penises on one day, I think you're better getting into surgical urology because it sounds like you have a much longer career arc than if you just got into straight pornography.
It's not pornography for sure. It's a very detailed, it's 60% men. I actually have 30% women in my field and actually 10% children that we operate on. And it's mainly a surgical field. The medical side is more. I mean,
you would see, because you would see women for like bladder infections and kidney infections and things like that, right?
Yes, correct. And for those patients, the field of them dealing with men is mainly dealing with enlarged prostate, because urinary health is an important one, as well as reproductive health, for men with their prostates or for prostate cancer. So there's a lot more than just the sexual aspect of urology. As urologists, we deal with urinary.
Your female patients, what do they ask you about the penis?
Actually, they don't ask. And so I'm actually surprised that more women don't talk about their intimate relationships and how to improve that. Because as a urologist, we could enhance them with learning the little, teaching them the little details that would enhance their intimacy. Men are sometimes afraid to ask, and most of the times I try to make them comfortable because they may be nervous. They may come for urinary symptom, and I always have to ask, so how are your erections? How's your libido? To make them comfortable to explain what's going on. But that's one of the reasons I wrote this book, to educate both about the male and female, because there's a whole chapter on women, male and female anatomy, and how learning this can enhance their intimate relationship.
How important are Kegels for men and women?
Extremely important. So the same pelvic floor that is important for tightening vaginal muscles that people think is just for that is also for urinary health, because the sphincter that extends from the pubic bone towards the anal sphincter actually tightens around the urethra. And in men who have had prostate cancer surgery or have leaking as a result of pelvic floor weakening, tightening with a Kegel exercise is hugely important for both men and women. Learning that is another thing. Usually I tell men, yeah, for women, we know to tighten our pelvic floor or anal sphincter. But then for men, if they lift their penis without their hands, they can actually use the same muscle to tighten the pelvic floor.
Yes, and if they can do it with their mouths, they're incredibly flexible. And congratulations to you, gentlemen.
That is autofellatio, a very difficult process to do.
Very difficult. There was a very funny sketch on Saturday Night Live where Will Ferrell takes a yoga class and is finally able to do that. And you know, they're part of the issue that some men have that you write about in your book is there's an old joke. What's the difference between a wife and a vacuum cleaner? A vacuum cleaner still sucks after 5 years. Do you have a lot of guys complaining that the oral sex goes down after they put a ring on it?
Yes, and that's one of the chapters I was going to name. A wedding cake does not have to be the last time to get ahead, because some people, they will use that initially in their intimate relationship and then lose that as they go along, either due to not knowing that this is pleasurable for themselves as well, or not knowing that their partners really care about it. And that's the thing. Most men actually tell me that they still care about having oral sex as they're married, and sometimes they never get that anymore.
That is a damn shame. And I admonish all of the women, all of the married women who have abdicated the joy and beauty of such an act. Like, do not give that up. Do not change who you are because you get a ring and a cake and a dress. That is only the beginning of a beautiful partnership.
That's correct. And actually, even when people get together, most people talk about all the things they want for the wedding, but they don't necessarily talk about what they and their partners may need or desire to keep that fire going throughout their relationship.
Well, here is a little tip from Dr. Hall. Men really like blowjobs. Problem solved.
That is correct.
And you can read all about it, how to get ahead. There's a lot of biology, evolutionary biology. Dr. Suelyn Hall is a board-certified urologist and a former fellow of the American College of Surgeons. She wrote the book on it, and you can take this Valentine's present and buy the book for yourself, and it is the gift that keeps on giving for your partner with a penis. Dr. Hall, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Kennedy, for having me. I appreciate you and enjoyed this conversation we've had.
Absolutely. To be continued when you're in New York.
Yes, I'm there. Next time I'm in
Very
person.
good.
I got to get a selfie with you.
Yes, of course. And we'll use cucumbers and bananas for visual helpers. This has been Kennedy Saves the World, along with Dr. Suelyn Hall. I'm Kennedy. Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.
Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.